Hello, 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 and welcome to this live session of the Actual Magician's Bookshelf. Yes, I am an actual magician, and today we're going to be doing some readings with some examples, and I'm going to be explaining exactly how I go about doing a reading in terms of the symbols, the keywords, the background, the research and experience in actual tarot card reading over 45 years. So I'm hoping to share that with you, and I'm just flipping my screens here so I can see what see our text and so forth. That's great. So first of all, can people hear me? Hello Shaheen. Hello S, hello Lilith, great name. I've got several books on Lilith. There's the Book of Lilith by Barbara Black-Koltov, PhD, up on my shelf in front of me actually. And I have a bit of a sore throat today, so I do apologise if I cough. I will try and take that out of the recordings. Hello, we've got 10 viewers. Thank you to everyone who is now a member of the Actual Magician's Bookshelf. I'm in the process of actually recording 10 videos at the moment, which will be for members only. Membership is fairly accessible, I hope, and I'm doing my top 10 shelves from my special two-hand books, which are the books that I've kept and referred to often, and I keep them to the little shelving stack on my left. There's about 100 books there. And these are the books in occultism. Hello, Jason. Hello, Jason. Wonderful to see you here in the chat. And I've got about 100 books. They are on my two-hand bookshelf out of the sort of 4,000 books that I have in my library, and these are the ones I have to hand, and they're the ones that lasted with me for the last 45 years. They're the ones I think are the most essential, at least as far as I understand it, for Western esotericism, tarot, alchemy, psychology, and so forth. And I'm going to do 10 videos on that, and that will be for members only, because I now have a members only channel. So I'm not going to be able to do everyone's questions. This is not a tarot card reading video. This is a demonstration video so that I can share readings and explain my thought process actually as I go through the live reading. When I was first starting, when I was 13, about 45 years ago, is that right? Yeah, about 44 years ago, I went to psychic fairs that they were in Derby at the time, where I used to travel in by train, and I would ask people for a reading. I would have to pay them. I paid my pocket money to have readings by people. And they never asked me my age, of course. That was interesting. And I would sometimes say, but why have you said that? Why is there a bird on this card? Because quite often it was a Waite-Smith tarot deck or Thoth deck. And I would ask, what about these two trees? And people wouldn't explain how they were doing the reading. And I understand why in retrospect, but at the time I found it very annoying that I couldn't learn to read tarot from that. So and this will be a recording as well, so it'll be available. Hello Sarah, and Sarah has the special badge, the special emoji and everything for being a member. That's excellent. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'm going to use all of the membership income in terms of upping my game in terms of the presentations on video as well. So, and Hawaiian Blown Glass, thank you very much. Hawaii Blow Glass, that's a great name. Yeah, so the next bit of membership income I'm actually going to use to sort out my template so that I can have a chat window and the videos and demonstration videos running concurrent to the live readings, all sorts of wonderful things. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So we had RBB Tube already asking a relationship question, and these are the very common questions. This is the first question. I'm going to do a demonstration of a very simple way of reading that is quite powerful. It's a 3-card reading that's actually a sort of 1-card reading. And I'm going to do that for Riddy and give a demonstration of that. And Riddy is asking, I want to know if I should contact Harsh first, as we are not in contact. Now, unfortunately, this is a very, very common question. In our studies, in our research, I had access to about 80,000 questions that were asked of online tarot card readers from a very insecure database that I had access to. And this is when I was writing Tarosophy. And I was more interested in what sort of questions do people ask, because then we can work out techniques and make sure we've got those in our toolbox to actually answer the questions that people ask. And to be honest, 3 out of 5, I think it was, questions asked of tarot card readers were relationship. And this will come as no surprise to actual tarot card readers over the last 5, 10, 13, 15, 50 years of reading. 3 out of 5 readings are statistically relationship readings. So we have to have tools and techniques and spreads and methods that relate to that. So let's get started then. So now this is also a good example because it's a very, very common question within the 3 out of 5 relationship questions. And it's of a category sometimes we dismissively call, when will Dwayne come back to me? And it's very much a statement of the question, not should Dwayne come back to me? If Dwayne comes back to me, what should I do about it? What went wrong between Dwayne and I? Why I and Dwayne not in a relationship? There's 1,000 other variations of the question, but the question that we get asked is always, when will Dwayne come back to me? And I would say, statistically, from my readings and from following up with people, 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, Dwayne is not the person for you. It doesn't work out, even if Dwayne comes back to you. So having a calendar date for it is never very useful. So here we go. Now, one thing that we can do with a relationship question is choose the card for the significator. Let me just move my microphone around a little bit and make sure that we've got the cards in focus. And what I'm going to do is a variation of a style of reading I call the Finding Hope method. And this was covered in Tarosophy. I don't have a copy to wave at the camera easily, but it's in Tarosophy. And it's now very common across Instagram and TikTok and so forth, the actual method that I developed. But people don't really understand the delivery of the method, so they always get it sort of wrong in the way that they use it and repeat it. But basically, for a relationship question, we know the card that is the significator for that because that is the Lover's card. So what we're going to do is find the Lover's card, and we're going to turn it upside down here, and we're going to search through and find the Lover's card. And the card above and the card below are going to relate to Riddy and Hash, was it? Let me just Harsh. Right. So so the card below will be harsh, and the card above will be ready, and that will explain the relationship as it currently stands. Because not only are the cards on the top of the deck and the bottom of the deck very important, but where every card falls in a shuffle is also important. So here we have the Lovers, and here we have the two cards either side. So you can see what I've done here. I've gone through the deck, and I found the Lovers card because it's a relationship question, and because it's a generic question, I'm using a major arcana. I'm not going to do a full Celtic cross because, to be honest, with respect to ready and harsh, I guess this question is so often asked and so often badly answered by going into the detail. It's not, when will Dwayne come back to me? It should be, what can I do to get the best out of the relationship and my relationships in general? So the Lovers card is a major arcana, so it's about the relationship, and the card below is harsh because the card on top is the card with agency, which is the person who's asking the question. So this is also a way of dealing with the third party question issue, because we have a card below which is not as important as the card above, because harsh isn't here for me to do a reading for, and so I'm only doing the reading for ready. And I also look at the card below as well, right at the bottom of the deck. So this is the World card, which is a card of completion and finality. It does seem to suggest that the situation has already met its end. It's finished. It's over. It is set in stone. It's exactly as it should be. And this card is very much, according to Waite, a card of duality. And so there are two separate people, because I'm interpreting the duality of the card in terms of the relationship, because we must always come back to the relationship and to the question itself. Okay? So the two people are separate. They are in the same world in terms of their knowledge of each other, but now we take a look at the card below and the card above. So the card above is ready, and this is the Ten of Pentacles. And because it's a 10, again, we've got this idea of finality with it. And here I'm reading this card in terms of, first of all, the number and the suit. So this is a resonance of the reflection here of finality, of endings, because this is the number 10, it's at the end of the sequence. We've got the full tree of life, it's already come to its end. The archway is the archway that is sort of symbolic in the World card. You can see the archway here, and the sexual symbolism of the archway, the opening of creation. And so there's a similarity in that finality. So that is really a way of reading and bridging between a major card and a minor card. We take a look at this in its Kabbalistic sequence, or just its sequence just from 1 to 10. 1 are beginnings, 5, 6s are in the middle, 10s are at the end. This is the World of Pentacles, which is Kabbalistically, it's the world of Asiya, it's the world of action, the everyday world, but it's very set in stone. You can see literally there's nothing more set in stone than a carving in stone here. And so this is set in stone. There's no further movement, so the situation is as it is. Hello, Tracy, and hello, Early Ritual. That's a great name as well. And in fact, we have 21 concurrent viewers at the moment, according to my stats. So that's a full a full world of tarot card readers. Welcome. Each of us is one tarot card, so claim your card now. I'll be the Fool, of course, or the Magician. I guess I have to be the Magician for the Magician's bookshelf. So again, I'm bridging the number and the fact that this is at the end, this is at the end, and going straight back to the question. The relationship is at the end. It is set in stone. Unfortunately, that is the situation. It's got no room to move. It's not going to change. This is the finality. Does that make sense? And I've not even looked at the family symbols here, so it's likely really is looking to settle down now, have more stability. There's the full family. There's a paternal aspect as well to Riddy's choices about men. This is the way she was brought up. I hope this is not too personal, but your relationship with your father is very much indicative of your relationship to other men as well. Now, that's a general statement, of course, but it's very specific to you. And I will always say when I'm reading tarot and when I'm teaching students to read tarot, you have to show me what you're saying is in the card, that you have taken it from the card. Okay? And now we can start to go on that intuition of this finality, this ending, and the nature of the relationship. Because if we look at the woman here, do you notice how she's sort of looking almost past this guy to the more elderly figure here? So that's like the father being seen through the daughter to the guy in the relationship as well. And of course, the child is looking out as if to say, our inner child is always with us. So I would say from that, ready to answer the question, and again, we always have to keep coming back to the question. It's sometimes very interesting to go into each aspect of a card, each angle of a card, but we are tarot card readers. We read the tarot cards for a question. So we must always bring it back to the question and to the card and link the two. This is reading tarot, actually reading tarot, not just sitting giving free advice just because you've got a pack of cards on the table in front of you. So we can look at harsh and see, ironically, the mother card, the Empress card, and in the context of the father here Harsh has his own mother issues in the sense of him bringing that very powerfully to his relationships with women. And again, I'm not reading for Harsh because he's not present. That's a third party. But in terms of Riddy's actual experience of him, whilst she is reflecting her father in the relationship, unfortunately, or perhaps, in terms of the ending and the set in stone, there's a very big, powerful dynamic with his mother and his relationship to his mother and how he sees women and things like that is being brought directly into the relationship. So whilst it may seem that there is a pattern, a very powerful dynamic underneath the relationship, on the surface, in practical terms, the only cards we have really are these, and this is ending, that's the relationship itself, and that's the mother aspect being brought into it. So there is a powerful dynamic underneath this, but it's more of a teaching thing because we've got these major arcana going on, and the only practical everyday card of real life is the 10, which is the pattern being set in stone and the finishing of it. So unfortunately, really, I would say that is the way the situation is working. Now, does that make sense how we're in this case, it's a good example of how we're looking at major arcana and minor arcana in reading and deducing that there are big patterns in the question because of the major arcana patterns, but as a result, there isn't very much reality in the situation, and what reality there is set in stone, come to a dead stop, powerful pattern nonetheless, but it isn't going to lead anywhere in the future. Does that make sense, really? I'm afraid that's the way I read those cards, and it's quite often the way that question does tend to pan out every time one reads it for each person, even though every relationship is obviously unique and to be treasured as teaching as well. So are you still with us, really? If so, can you just make a note in the comments, because then we can see how this applies or doesn't apply and so forth, and what to do as a tarot card reader if something hits the mark, needs more clarification and so forth. I'm happy to do that. I have quite a few story excellent. Yes. Oh, well, that is the only way and the best way to hear is with all ears. Thank you for, again, we like to say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, but quite often when the teacher is ready, the student will appear. When you are ready as a tarot card reader for certain sorts of readings, then the right people will come along for you to deliver those readings, whether you like it or not. Now, I'm just going to scroll back up the chat here so that I can see the next question, and then we can take a... I'm just going to skip over Esther's question, if I may, for now, because... Again, if the guy you're thinking about likes me, that's a third-party question as well, and I would deal with it in very much this sort of way. So perhaps you can do that reading for yourself now, S, and find the lover's card, read this card for you, that card for him, and look at the base card, the bottom card of the deck as well when you turn it upside down, and do a similar sort of reading, because I'm trying to encourage people to learn how to read tarot just from my own experience, as well as picking up some readings. Now, let's have a look. Now, Fly Me Away, if I may ask if you're still here, is it in my best interest to retire in 2025, was the next question. I'm going to take the... oh, excellent, you're here. Right, okay. Now, with your question, I'd like to do something very different, if I may, and demonstrate to everyone here a tarosophy way of reading the cards. So I'm just going to shuffle whilst we talk. Now, Fly Me Away, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to answer them as quickly as possible, and as honestly as possible, as authentically as possible. They're very much questions about your own state and your own embodiment, so you will feel the answer to the questions before you think them, if that makes sense. So, hello, Aqua, Earth and Fire. Yay, I caught you live. Yeah, I'm surprised there's no notification. It should be. Right, Fly Me Away. Now, what we're going to do here is a tarosophy method, and I was just trying to see where my tarosophy book is. Again, that should be to hand. I can't actually see it at the moment. I'm after the latest version. I think I sent it someone, actually. That's probably where it is. It's probably on someone else's shelf, my copy of it. I've got 2 copies of Tarosophy Squared. Anyhow, so I'm going to ask this question to you, Fly Me Away, and I want you to sit where you are or stand where you are. I have no idea where you might be. But I want to ask you, when you think about retirement, is that feeling inside you or outside you? So it's a straightforward question, I hope. Maybe a bit of a strange one. Is it sort of inside you or outside of you? Inside for sure. Now, this is a method that works very well when the person is in front of you and you can see their non-verbal communication, because quite often they'll point to whether it's inside or outside, even if they don't understand. Hello, Sherry, and again, thank you for being a member. It's very much appreciated. It's going to help me develop this channel even more. I've already started this week's session with a intro screen, a countdown screen, and I'm learning to use the software a lot better. So thank you for that. So inside, right now, inside. I'm going to ask you a second question then. So the first question is inside or outside. The second question is, what colour is that feeling? What colour is that feeling on the inside? If you had to give it a colour, what colour would that feeling be on the inside? Sparkling green, right, okay, so we've asked two questions. So a person has asked about retirement. I've asked the question, when you think about retirement, question one, is it on the inside or the outside? And question two, what colour is it? The third question is, what shape is that? What shape is that feeling? What shape is that feeling? Yeah, people are talking about the weekly classes in the Spiritual Key to the Tarot, new Tarot Diploma class that I'm running. That's being delivered live. We've got a special launch offer on that at the moment. You have a look at the Tarosophy Tarot Association site and my Facebook profile as well. You'll find the special offer. That is 10 years of research. It's actually following on from Secrets of the Waitesmith Tarot, this book here. We had so much on weight that we couldn't include in this book that we spent 10 years reading everything Waite had ever written all over again. Because obviously I've been reading that for 45 years, but we spent 10 years reading it all again. And we've written a new book, which is a sort of follow-up to this book with all of our new research on weight as well. So Fly Me Away is now said an expanding supernova, not a fixed shape. Now that's really important. An expanding supernova is not a fixed shape. Can I ask you, Fly Me Away, if you felt that it had movement, like you were moving your hands whilst you were thinking about it? Because again, yeah, champagne supernova, definitely. So that's the next question. So we've asked, is it on the inside or the outside? What colour is it? What shape is it? And the final question that I would like to ask Fly Me Away is, and that's like what? That shape, although I think you have answered it, is a supernova. Is a supernova. Okay, is that the way you'd best describe it? It's like a supernova. Because the person has actually answered our fourth question, which is, that's like what? And I usually ask it in that way, and that's like what? Yes, brilliant. So, and I sort of knew that by the fact that you'd actually answered with a metaphor. Now, what we've sneakily done in this is we've used something called clean language, and it's a a very wide subject. It's a sort of NLP modelled work from a guy called David Grove, who was he passed away a while ago, a New Zealand therapist, and he developed or had naturally a system called clean language. Well, he didn't call it that. It was modelled and called clean language. And we ask these questions in this order very specifically. We don't say, when you think about retirement, give me a metaphor for that, because the person can answer, oh, I'm not sure, or I don't know, or I don't have one. So we trick it with clean language with only questions that can be answered, have to be answered, and infer something else. So that first question is really simple. When you think about your question, which is in this case is retirement, is that on the inside or the outside? And the person will have already, you can't see me doing it, but I'm pointing to my chest at the moment and then moving my hands around. They'll gesticulate even before they say, I think it's on, is it on? I don't know. It's like, and they'll move their hand like this and you'll know it's on the outside. Okay. Yes, please like the video and certainly subscribe, and the comments help as well, because then it'll tell, the algorithm apparently tells more people. I've just finished a YouTube boot camp run by YouTube for 100 UK creators, and I can assure you the workings of YouTube are more like a cult than occultism actually is. So yeah, it's a very strange place, YouTube. Now then, where were we? So you ask, is it on the inside or the outside? And the person will say it's on the inside. Now, once they've answered that question, which sounds very simple, it infers that the feeling, is a thing, because it could be on the inside or the outside. Make sense? So now the feeling has become a noun, a thing, because a feeling is a verb. It's not, you can't have the trust or the love of your life or something. Love is a verb. It is not a thing. When people say, I don't have any confidence, they make it a noun, a thing, and it isn't. In clean language, we're actually going the other way. We're turning the feeling back into a thing. So all of those complex things about feeling, about retirement. Now, because Fly Me Away had asked that question, I know in my head, I think, unlike the When Will Dwayne Come Back to Me, retirement is a massively complex issue. It's got financial aspects, it's got emotional aspects, it's got self-worth aspects, it's got relationship aspects, it's got travel and work and career and identity aspects and so forth. So, I apologise about the ads. I need to turn the monetization off for the actual live itself. I'll learn how to do that the next time, I promise. So it's a complex question, so I like to take those and turn them into a metaphor. And so we do it with the clean language questions. Inside or outside? Question 1. Question 2. What shape is it? Because now we can ask whether it has a shape, because we know it's on the inside or the outside, and it's inferred it's a thing. So it has a shape. We can ask, what shape is that? The person will go, well, it's like this, that, or the other. Second question is the colour. The second question we ask about the colour, because then the person can generate the colour for the feeling, for the it. Then when it has a colour, it must have a shape, because otherwise it can't have a colour. And so therefore we go to the shape, and then if the person doesn't answer there and then with a metaphor, we simply ask the fourth and final question is, and that's like what? And that's like what to you? Now, quite often the person will answer with a metaphor when describing inside or outside, colour or shape. But it doesn't matter, because when they have got it inside or outside, a colour and a shape, sometimes you can then ask about the size of it. I tend to shortcut that one for tarot card readings unless I'm doing more therapeutic work. And then you say, and that's like what? And that's like what? Make sense? Does that make sense to everyone? Inside or outside, colour, shape and or size, and that's like what? And we actually phrase it, and that's like what? We don't say, can you tell me what that sounds like, what it feels like, what that is a metaphor for? How would you symbolise that? We just say casually, and that's like what? And the person will always go, oh, it's like a brick wall. It's like a staircase that's moving backwards as I'm trying to carry bricks up it. It's like X, Y, and Z. Sorry, I was just reading. Jason, look a bit above in the chat. Just being persistent, and I've stumbled to be right here. Right, okay. So, an expanding supernova. So now what we can do is, instead of struggling to come up with a spread, we can now actually do a spread. Strangely enough, we've got the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. So I'm going to take that as you approaching retirement. And I'm just going to shuffle the rest of the deck. I just feel that I'm going to shuffle it. And whilst I'm shuffling, I'm going to think, how would we represent a supernova? And you can do this with the client as well. What is a supernova to you? Fly away. Fly me away. What is a supernova to you? Supernova is something that burns very brightly. I know that. It's an astronomical thing. It's not just a nova. Yeah, I'm not after a card. I'm after the, bright energy, speed and growth. Now, can you see what Fly Me Away has done for us there? He's given us the positions of the spread. And I'm sort of cheating here. I'm using the client to describe the spread for me. I'm just guiding them in doing that. So here we go with the supernova spread. And with this method, I assure you, every spread I do for my clients is unique to that client. I will never, ever do that spread ever again with anyone else. It's highly unlikely I will ever do another supernova spread with these positions. But these are, to answer the question, here is Fly Me Away as the Hermit looking at their future. But they are at the top of the mountain now. They're looking to retire, and we have the elderly. Yeah, I know, it's pretty good, huh? And it's basically, I'm cheating. I'm using NLP via clean language, applying it to tarot, because I found clean language when I was on the courses for that so useful. I had so many revelations about my own internal processes. I thought, oh my gosh, it really helps build a metaphor out of anything, and it's unique to the person. David Grove in his therapy was really anti-NLP, anti-CBT, anti-TA, anti-Gestalt. He tried to get out of the way of his client to make sure that the client did all the talking, all the work, and even all the thinking. And he had really simple questions. To answer Aqua, Earth and Fire, this is actually a method or an approach called clean language. There are several good books on it. And it was modelled from the natural ability and speech patterns of a guy called David Grove by two NLP people. But the model that they generated, called clean language, is actually, strangely enough, very anti-NLP. It's the opposite of NLP. In NLP, we sort of utilize and deconstruct and reconstruct language on the fly. In clean language, you basically ask questions that get the client to do all of the work. I have a book on NLP called NLP Magic, and again, I'm going to have to sort of get these books to hand so that I can put them in front of the camera. Usually, I've ended up sort of sending my own copies of books to people who wanted to buy a copy quickly, and then I don't have any to show. But yeah, I assure you, I have written a book, I'm sure about it, called NLP Magic. NLP Magic. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of NLP, I can assure you. My experience of it over the last 30 years or so, I've been trained by Bandler and Grinder. Their two schools of thought are very opposed to each other, and their students, I ended up on both sides of that particular fence and argument as well over time, but hopefully I'll try to condense it into, particularly my book, in just things I found worked with actual clients in real life over the years. Anyhow, back to the supernova spread, and I'm just going to have a look back up here. What did we have? We had bright energy, speed, and growth. So this is where you can be bright. This is where you can have energy. This is where you can have speed, and this is where you can have growth. Make sense? And now we have supernova. Here's the light. Here's the actual supernova, you'll notice. So I don't know how that managed to creep in, but we actually have the supernova here. And so we have these four positions. That this one is brightness, this one is energy, this one is speed, and this one is growth. Okay, so you can be bright about it. I'm going to do a trick with the base card in a second, the other base card, when we look at that. And I'll show you how synchronicity works. So you could be bright by being open to novelty and creativity. You have not felt the feeling that you will feel when you are retired yet. And when you do feel that, it will become your brightness. The novelty will become your brightness. Make sense? We can go more into the symbolism and so on, but that's not really the point of this. You can go and look up the meanings of this card a little bit more and see how that affects how you can be bright and clever about opening the supernova that is your retirement. Make sense? Then what did we have? Your next word was energy. So we actually have the card of energy here, which is the Knight of Wands. So you should throw into it everything that you have, and there should be no half measures. This guy is your energy to activate the supernova, and he has taken the wand, which is your lifestyle, and set fire to it. So all of your passion, all of your energy, this is where you have to really set fire to things. No half measures. You either retire or you don't, but you don't half retire or gradually retire. There's no graduation to the Knight of Wands. They are on fire. They are on fire. Okay, and again, we can go into the symbolism and the meaning, but I'd ask you to do that. This you can learn from all of the books and everything, but I'm trying to teach you the other bits of how to actually read the cards and how to develop your approach to reading so that you can really enjoy reading them yourself with all of the books, with all of the knowledge, whatever you want. But at the end of the day, I'm talking about reading the cards, the actual practice of doing it, the experience of doing it as well. So then what did we have? This was your speed. Now the speed is interesting because it's another knight. You'll notice we've got 3 court cards and a personal personification archetype card. In fact, we've got the base one as well. So these are all parts of yourself as well. When we talk about the court cards, we can hear, and a lot of people say it's really difficult to read the court cards, but try reading for a load of kids. Court cards are your friend because most of kids' lives and most of people who are retired and people sort of in the middle of their life, it is all about relationships. Not so much about career, money, finance, wealth, stability, location, education, and so on. It's about other people. And so if you want to practice your court cards, read for kids. But here we can see these are all aspects of fly me away's personality that are being activated. But these are the core ones. These are the ones that you must really focus on. So this is your energy. This is your ability to accept novelty and change in your life, which is the thing that will give you the brightness and the clarity. This is the energy that you have to throw into it, which is all of it. And this is the speed that your supernova has got to go at. And this is very much, Arthur Edward Waite in the Key to the Tarot, Pictorial Key to the Tarot, said that this card was a light to Galahad. And we explain that in our course and in our book, Spiritual Key to the Tarot, of what Waite thought about Galahad and so forth in his other books on the Holy Grail and so forth, the Arthurian Mysteries. Here, your speed has to be suitable for your quest. And I'm going to leave it as enigmatic as that, but you have to know what you are questing for. In your retirement, your supernova has to have an element of a quest, like a divine quest. What is it that you are seeking for? And if you watch last week's video or were part of that, you'll know how I tend to bridge cards with light symbols. So you'll notice here we have the wand here and the ankh here. We have the cup here and the cup here. These are like the sparks of the supernova flying out. And so this novelty, the thing that you will not feel until after you have retired, will inform your quest, will set you on that quest. Okay? So it's almost like you can't really ask, should you retire, because you won't know what it is like. You're asking a question about something you do not know at all what the experience will be until after you've done it. But that reception of novelty will lead to the quest, and that will dictate the speed at which your supernova expands. Make sense? And for those watching in terms of tarot card reading and methodology, I'm looking at the light symbols here and here just to get symmetry as well. There's a nice nature of that. And also you'll notice each of them is holding something in their hand, so we can refer to that as well if we were doing a long extended reading about your agency. Your hand is your agency, what you actually hold and how you hold it, whether you hold it like this or like that or like this. That expresses, like the wand expresses your will and your energy and your direction, and also your lifestyle, because you use it to sort of make your way with as a walking stick. So the Emperor is our final card, which is your growth. And your growth is in terms of power. The Emperor is a card of energy and power. See it as a gift, perhaps. Yeah, that's a good way of seeing that. Again, if we're doing a full clean language approach to this, we let the client say, so I should see it as a gift. I should see that as a good thing. I should wait and see what my quest will be, but first of all, actually retire and then look for it. And I'd be like, yes, yes, and yes. Make sense, Bill? But yeah, we cannot help but put thoughts and words into the client's head, and the level to which we do that has to be deliberate, considered as much as possible, even if it's very difficult to do it. Clean language pulls it all away. NLP, as Richard Bandler once said, I like NLP and hypnotherapy because I do all of the talking, because what the client says is no use. So there's two extremes of those particular therapeutic approaches, I guess. And so the Emperor, in terms of Fly Me Away, and coming back to the question, which is the supernova of retirement, is your growth will be in terms of your static power. It will not be necessarily something that is obvious, not be something that you can measure, but it will be something that you can sit with. Make sense? Fly Me Away? And does that make sense as a way of doing an overall reading with clean language? I explain it a bit more in Tarosophy and Tarosophy Squared. I do have copies of that, but not that I can dig out of the bookshelf. Right, and then finally I'm going to look at what is now the base card down here. Whoops, let me just move that there. So that was at the bottom. And here is the base card, the thing that is underneath everything else. And now can you see how synchronicity works? What can you see in this card from that started off as a simple question, oh, retirement, is that inside or outside? Where we got to in terms of our method, our approach, our metaphor, and the symbols of the cards, because we are reading the cards. The cards have all of the answers in. The cards have the answers in. We are tarot card readers. We read the tarot cards, and then we apply them to the question. That's our only job. It's fairly straightforward if we make it so. But you can see here now the supernova. And we can see how it's reflected from the light here of the supernova itself is now, it's your supernova, Fly Me Away. And it will be the opposite of everything that you thought it was. It will be a literal turning on your head. And as Bill is saying, this card, to some extent, it advises releasing yourself from the external to the internal, which is where we get to with this card here. But to me as well, the Hangman is fastened to his highest values. He's fastened to his own star, his own will. As Aleister Crowley says, every man and every woman is a star. And there's a great poem by Crowley called One Star in Sight as well, which sort of refers to this experience of your will and your quest and your direction and your ability to change and your own power. And that is all in that poem, One Star in Sight. Now, can you see what I did there as well? Quite casually, but I'm doing it very deliberately. However you choose to do it, at the end of a reading, I always like to go back over the cards and make that whole narrative. If you play back the recording, you'll see what I did there. I took one star in the sight when I pointed here, and then I said, so that one star in sight is how you are looking at your retirement, and the poem is all about your ability to change, be open to novelty, your energy moving forwards, your own direction, which is your true quest and your own empowerment, as you come to look at it very differently from the position that you're now in. And I've now proven to the client that those cards make a consistent and coherent narrative by bringing them all together. And you can do it very subtly at the end of the reading when the client is already overwhelmed with the information. It's up to you to then bring it all together and summarize it in some way or another. Make sense? Makes sense what we've done there. Now, I'm just going to very quickly look at one final question. I'll scroll back up and look at the next question that was given and see if we can... okay. Yeah, so this is actually Lilith's question, and it's a health question. So can we take a very quick look at a health question? I'll have to do, I'd like to say yes, Tracy, but unfortunately other people have asked questions in the list, and I'll have to stick to the list to be fair, and I've only got time for one more. Right then, a health question. Now, let's have a think. There isn't enough time to go through all of the ins and outs of health questions, but we can look at that maybe next week. I'm going to do this as a regular weekly thing, and there'll be benefits for members as well as we progress with the channel. But yeah, we'll have to think about health readings for next time. But in terms of doing a reading, what was the question again? It was some advice that a body was giving you, an organization was giving you. Okay, so how best you can support them. How best you can support them, is that support yourself in the information they're giving you, or you're supporting the health service? Birds, the membership is available on the membership tab on the YouTube channel. That is nothing to do with the Tarot Association or anything else. It's membership off the Actual Magician's Bookshelf channel. I'm doing exclusive videos for members. I'm doing pre-releases for members and some other perks that are described. There's 3 levels of membership. The first one is basically to support the channel, and I'm using that for software training and equipment for the channel. The second level is for exclusive videos. There's already one. I'm in the process of doing a load more. And then the third level also has another perk as well. But it's in the membership tab of the YouTube channel. Oh, okay then. So, right, now that's interesting. That's interesting, Lilith. So, I'm actually just going to grab the book as well. So, I mentioned that book was up on the shelf. I'll have to hide the boobies from YouTube, I think. Although I've seen a lot worse on YouTube. So, what I'm going to do, because that has come up as a synchronicity, that just happened to be there. Lilith, have you read this book by any chance? Just because you have the name doesn't mean, you do have this one. That's excellent. So what I'm going to do is a bit of bibliomancy with tarot, just as we close off, because in effect, your body is trying to give you a message, and the message could come through tarot, it could come through the book. So here we go. So it's on page 78, and that is exactly the number of cards in a tarot deck, of course. So if you have a look on page 78, Lilith, this is the message from Marie-Louise von Franz. Tells us that this symbolizes a grinding down to the essentials, to the prima materia. Yeah, well, if that isn't a symbolic of the pancreas, I don't know what is. It is a realization of the shadow which goes so deep that one can say no more about it. It is the turning point. The ego in its negative aspect has been pulverized, and it has to give in to higher powers. And that is a quote from The Feminine in Fairy Tales, which is actually a book Charlotte Louise and I are reading out to each other together. Oh, thank you, Jason. That's so much appreciated for being a member. I'm going to try and offer members a good value for money in everything that we're doing. So, Charlotte Louise and I are currently reading The Feminine in Fairy Tales to each other, sort of in tandem, because it's such an interesting book. So I would go for page 115 of Marie-Louise von Franz's The Feminine in Fairy Tales, and this is the message from Lilith to you. So the tarot has been read in the fact that it's verified. The tarot is behind us in choosing the number 78 for that page. So that is the message to you. And as a tarot card reader as well, I would encourage everyone to be flexible with your divination as well. Sometimes it's actually, again, just mentioning Charlotte Louise, she does a lot of bibliomancy, and her way of doing it is, if I do this, then, and she opens a book for that one, or if I do this, then, and then she opens another book for the second avenue, and she always places things in two avenues, and then does bibliomancy for each, and it's a great method. And I hope that helps, Lilith. I'm sorry to hear about having health issues. It's no fun at all, but Lilith has a message for you, and that is her message. And Louise von Franz will explain it even further in her book as well. Excellent. Well, you're in the right place for a bibliophile. This is the actual Magician's Bookshelf, and if you see any of my other videos, you'll see 3,000 odd occult books, and I've thrown away, given away, or sold over 45 years many more thousands that I don't find useful. I only keep the good ones with me. So thank you all so much for being with me. Again, I'm going to be doing this as now a weekly, because I'm having fun doing it. Hopefully you're finding it useful, and we can have a lot more fun as we go along in the year ahead. I'm going to be doing this as my regular Friday session. It will be live, be in real time, and we'll cover loads of different ways of reading, and we will talk about anything that you want to about how to actually read tarot, because at the end of the day, we are tarot card readers. So thank you very much. I'm going to now see if I can switch to the other scene in OBS. Hang on.